it's Mena, and today in this video I'm going to do top 10 not the best movies I've seen. So I'm sorry if I look a little weird, my hair's wet, and my hair's still a little, it's not technically wet, it's just damp, because I just took a shower a little bit ago, so I kind of had my hair in a towel, and I didn't want to film with my hair in a towel, because I don't look good with my hair in a towel. Anyway, and then, this video I'm going to do, yeah, and I'm also not really feeling too well today. I think I caught a bug that's going around, so hopefully I don't, I think I caught, a stomach bug that's going around, and, hopefully I do not, while I'm making this video. Anyway, today in this video, again, I'm going to do the top 10 not the best movies I've seen. Sorry. And, these are movies, now, to be honest, I'm actually not saying I hate these movies. These are just movies I personally don't I'm sorry. These are movies that I personally don't really like that much. Now, again, I'm not trying to say I hate these movies. I mean, I like these movies. It's just there's some things I'm not a big fan of about them. So I'm going to try my best to talk about why I'm not a fan of them. And if you guys literally love these movies, then that's completely fine. And I will do a top 10, the 10 best movies I've seen video after I do this. And again, if you guys like these movies, then that's really love these movies, legit love them, you could watch them 20,000 times and never hate them, then that's completely fine. We all have different opinions. I'm going to get started. So, and again, no one get offended by this video. I'm just making this just because I need to make a video. So number 1 on my list, I have to be We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. I am not the biggest fan of this movie because as a kid I wasn't really that much into dinosaurs like a lot of kids were. My brother would have probably loved this movie when he was really little because when he was little he really liked dinosaurs when he was 3 years old. I just personally am not a huge fan of this movie just because story-wise and maybe there's I didn't really like one of the songs in that movie even though it only had one song in that movie, I didn't really like it that much. And if you guys want to review it, and if you guys like this movie, then that's completely fine. I'm not a huge fan of it because of the story and stuff, and I'm not a big dinosaur person. Number 2 on my list would have to be Trolls. The reason I'm not a huge fan of Trolls is because, again, a lot of you guys probably know this if you watched my Trolls review, and I've mentioned this before, because I feel like they kind of took the idea from Cats Don't Dance. It's got, the same storyline, so it just kind of, reminds me a little bit of the same story. And I think a lot of people complain about, Avatar about that, but to be honest, I didn't think Avatar was really, Pocahontas to me. I don't know why people think it's like Pocahontas. I've heard, a lot of people say it's good, and then I heard some people complain, oh, it's Pocahontas and stuff like that. That they stole the idea from Pocahontas. Yeah, that's what I hear a lot of people complain about, Avatar. But this is one thing I'm annoyed about Trolls is that I feel like they stole the idea from Cats Don't Dance because it has literally the same storyline to me. So, but if you guys like Trolls, that's completely fine. I'm not saying I hate it. I like it a little bit. I just don't like it really that much. If you wish to see my review on Trolls, I will link that in the description box down below. Number 3 on my list had to be The Princess and the Goblin. I'm not a huge fan of this because I don't like the way the story was written that much. It's not a bad film. I like the animation and stuff like that. But personally, the story just doesn't really catch my interest. The way they stop the goblins isn't really that interesting. It's kind of boring and also you got kind of a damsel in distress, which a lot of kids, which is pretty common in older kids movies. That's one thing I kind of hate is that's one thing I hate about the older kids movies is the damsel in distress that they have almost all the time in a lot of kids movies. But, well, I'm not saying all kids movies actually have this, but it's just some of the older kids movies that I've seen have damsels in distress all the time. Yeah, this one I feel like has more of a damsel in distress, which I kind of am not am not amused with. I'm also not amused with the songs and the story. It's just and some of but I do have to admit the animation's good. I like how lifelike they made the characters, but I don't like the goblins. I think they're very ugly. Ugh. Ugly. So, yeah, that's my personal opinion. I'm just not the biggest fan of that movie either, and because I don't like the songs, the story, and some of the characters. Number 4 on my list, I have to be BFG, Big Friendly Giant Animated. I don't really like this movie that much because of the songs. I'm not a big fan of the songs, but I do like the story. I like how all the characters and stuff. But to be honest, I've never read Big Friendly Giant. I have read some Roald Dahl books, like I've read James the Giant Peach and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and another one that I can't think of the name of. It was in like a book in one of my English class. It was in like a book full of stories in my English class. I can't remember the name of it though, because it was so long ago. Oh my gosh, my stomach hurts. It's just I'm not a fan of the songs and kind of the story and people like judging things by their size. It's really sad. Number 5 on my list would have to be Rock-a-Doodle. Now, I like Don Bluth. He makes such great movies, but Rock-a-Doodle is probably not my favorite film because of terms of story and songs. The songs and the story are not really my favorite. It's just like I find it weird how they have a character who is a rooster who dresses up as Elvis Presley for some weird reason. I thought it was really weird that they did that, to be honest, and I just don't like the songs, and I feel like the story is a bit kind of boring, to be honest, but overall, I do like the animation and the characters. I thought they were pretty cute. So, if you wish to see my review on Rock-a-Doodle, I will link the video in the description box down below. Number 6 on my list would have to be Piglet's Big Movie. Now, I'm not a huge crazy fan of Winnie the Pooh. I think I had a friend who was a big fan of Winnie the Pooh. Like, she had Winnie the Pooh Valentine's, Winnie the Pooh clothes, and I think she went and saw a Winnie the Pooh movie one year, which is pretty cute. But honestly, I've seen Piglet's Big Movie. I just personally am not a big fan of that movie in terms of story. And that's pretty much it, is the story. It's just kind of like it just blows me off as a story. It's just because it's not really like my cup of tea and stuff like that. It doesn't really have, to me, and I feel like it just doesn't have that much adventure in it. Even though it brings back kind of flashbacks, which I pretty much like, but it's just, I feel like it doesn't really have that much adventure in it. Number 7 on my list would have to be Flushed Away. I don't know why I'm trying to figure out why I'm not a huge fan of this film. Maybe it's just because, I'm trying to think of why I'm not a big fan of this film, just because maybe I didn't really like the story. I haven't seen this movie in so long, so yeah. I just remember not really liking it that much after I first watched it. Yeah, the story obviously is not my cup of tea, just because I think it's a little bit boring. Kind of like a house rat gets sucked in the sewers, and then he meets a sewer rat, and then they kind of like try to stop a frog from stealing like a fake diamond or something. I don't know. I don't really remember because I haven't seen this in a long time, and I think that's probably why I'm not a huge fan of it. So sorry if I'm not giving much detail about this movie. It's just I haven't seen this movie in so long. But I do give thumbs up to the animation. It's pretty awesome. They do a good job with their claymation skills. Number 8 on my list would have to be The Croods. Now, I personally think this is kind of a weird movie because they're kind of afraid of everything. I know they're cavemen, and cavemen get kind of curious, but it's like the weirdest thing ever. Like, cavemen are like so afraid and stuff like that. But I do like how they kind of leave their comfort zones and stuff. They learn a lesson about leaving their comfort zones, but they constantly are like afraid of everything, which is kind of weird. I know they're cavemen and they're supposed to be like curious and stuff like that, but I just kind of find it weird how they're just afraid to try new things. Even though I find it interesting how some characters are afraid to try new things, I just don't really like this one that much. Number 9 on my list had to be Osmosis Jones. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this movie, even though I do like the show Ozzy and Drix, which is like adapted from that show. No, I think it's a spin-off series from the movie. Anyway, yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of the movie for some weird reason. Maybe just because, I'm not the biggest because even though it has Bill Murray in it, I don't really find Bill Murray that funny or interesting in the movies, to be honest, because he's just not my favorite actor. Now, I'm not saying I don't like Bill Murray. I like Bill Murray. He's a great actor, but I personally am just not a huge fan of his sense of humor and stuff, and I think that's probably why I don't really like this movie that much. Number 10 on my list had to be Sinbad. I'm not a huge fan of this movie, mainly in terms of story. I've never read the story of Sinbad, and maybe that's why, probably because I don't really get the story that much. But I have to admit, the characters are pretty interesting. I like how kind of lifelike they made them. DreamWorks has pretty good animation, to be honest. That was my phone, excuse me. And I had to cough. So, that movie is like probably not my favorite just in terms of story and because I don't understand the story because I've never read the book. So, yeah, so those are my top 10 not the best movies I've seen. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry if this was so long, but thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any requests, please leave them in the comments down below. And I will see you guys in another video soon. Bye!